Hello and welcome to another episode of the First Watch Podcast. My name is Drake. I'm the host of this podcast, but you knew that already. And I have Patrick back on. You may remember him from the Le Bon Jour episode that we did several months ago, or 2 months ago, something like that. He was supposed to also be on an episode earlier on than that, but that's fine. So we decided to come back together. I was just recently a guest on his podcast, Tomorrow Comes Movies, which will be listed in the description down below. We talked. The movie that we talked about on his was Drugstore Cowboy, and today we're going to be talking Mother because it is a first watch for him and subsequently a first watch for me as well. Bong Joon Ho's Mother that came out in 2009? I want to say. Okay, yeah, I haven't seen this movie at all. This is my first time watching it yesterday. It was also your first time. Once you told me that it was a Bong Joon Ho movie, I was like, I'm fucking in, baby. Let's do it. So where did you hear about Bong Joon Ho's Mother?
Well, I had to write Bong Joon Ho in that when I gave you that list because I didn't want you to think it was the Darren Aronofsky movie. Because oh my god, I did review that on my show back, the original version of it. But um, I guess with Bong Joon Ho, it's really strange. He's one of my favorite directors, but I've only seen like 4 of his movies, and one of them I didn't even know at the time was Snowpiercer. Have you seen that?
Yeah, I have a long time ago. Yeah.
Um, it's very good, but I didn't know who he was until Parasite. Parasite really took the world by storm, which for some odd reason I thought was a zombie movie based off the original poster. And so I went back through his filmography and I'm like, Mother. And I thought for sure Darren Aronofsky remade it, and I was like, there's no way this could be the same thing. And then I just bought it. Actually, it was so funny because you were DMing me to watch it on Tubi, and I have it right here. And I was laughing because, like, man, Drake's really on top of this with his podcast. I don't tell people where it's at. I'm like, you just got to figure it out.
No, I just saw that it was like free, and I was like, well, if I can save him a couple bucks, I'm gonna at least do that. So I watched it on YouTube because it was easier that way. So I didn't have to worry about ads and stuff. I was like, hell yeah, dude. Get to watch it for free and not have to worry about ads. Let's go.
What about you? Are you a Bong Joon Ho fan?
I am as of like recently. The first movie of his that I actually watched was Memories of a Murder. Which I had not seen. I hadn't seen Parasite either, but I purchased that first because I kept hearing that it was so good. So I bought that Criterion before I bought the Memories of a Murder one. But then I watched Memories of a Murder first because I kept hearing it was so good. Still haven't watched Parasite, by the way. Still own it. Still haven't watched it. Um, and I enjoyed the hell out of that. That's when I instantly fell in love with Bong Joon Ho because I watched that movie and I was like, hell yeah. And then obviously Mickey 17 came out this year. And that's a Bong Joon Ho movie as well. Which makes sense because a lot of the stuff that goes on in that movie is very reminiscent of some of the other movies that he has as well. And then obviously we had Mother, which I didn't know this was his movie. Like I didn't know he made a movie called Mother. So whenever you told me it was a Bong Joon Ho movie, I was like, oh hell yeah! Like I'm all over that. That made me really happy because I was like, I at least know that I'm in for a treat, and a treat I was definitely in for. Um,
Yeah, and I threw in another foreign language movie. I wanted to see if you were gonna choose any of those two that had dropped,
oh yeah, this
and
is
I
like
was
the fourth
shocked.
one
Yeah,
that I mean, you and I did one with Live on Here. That was the first foreign language one that I did on this podcast, and then I did a South Korean horror film. 3 weeks ago that came out.
yeah, I love that movie. By the way,
Oh, do you?
love that movie.
I,
Yeah.
I was surprised that I actually like it, but yeah, I do like it.
Have you watched many Korean movies? Because I'm all in on Korea. I mean, K dramas, music, movies. I'm all in on them.
It's only within the past year that I've actually started watching any foreign films, let alone Korean ones. Um, I was never really into having to read subtitles while while watching a movie, because I just don't really have the attention span as is. But I've been forcing myself after watching a lot of Agnes Varda's stuff to kind of correct that behavior, and so I've been watching as many foreign films as I can muster because I've started to realize that there's a lot of good cinema out in other parts of the world, and I've really been enjoying it lately.
Let me tell you, Korea understands romance better than America because after their K dramas, I can't watch any of the American TV show romances because it's not. It's like day and night. But their movies are top tier. Have you seen The Wailing?
I haven't seen The Wailing. That's on my list of things that I have to watch because the guy that I had on for the Gonjiam movie, Cole, he was talking about it during a draft that we did for Halloween, a movie draft that we did for Halloween, and that's when I first heard about it, and I was like, okay, maybe I need to put this on the watch list of things for me to watch, but I still haven't seen it yet. No.
Okay, yeah, because I'm gonna bring it up because there's somebody in this movie that's in that movie.
Okay, interesting. Um, do you want to go ahead and tell us kind of what Mother is about?
I guess the best way to describe it is pretty simple. Is a mother, an overly protective mother, I would say, has to do something for her son. It's really hard. Are we spoiling this or not?
Yeah. This is a
Okay,
spoiler. Like I already give the heads up at the
perfect.
beginning, so you're good.
So a mother, her son goes to jail for a crime, and this mother is trying to find ways to get him out by uncovering the truth. And I think that's pretty much would say anything with a Bong Joon Ho movie. You know that is going to be a lot more than what that is.
Oh yeah, like there's something about him and like crime where like it's gonna go a little bit of the extra mile than what you would expect for like a regular crime thriller, and that's what I love about Bong Joon Ho. Um, but yeah, he definitely goes a little bit further than most would go when it comes to doing crime thrillers, and that's one thing about this movie that is like really cool.
Did you read the synopsis? I didn't. I went in blind, so
Nope.
I was totally like, "What is happening here?" And that's why I messaged you. I was like, "This is a really strange movie."
Oh no, yeah, I did not read the synopsis at all. Um, I just pretty much said to myself, in Bong Joon Ho I trust, and I hit the button and I was like, all right, let's get it, and that was about it. Like I didn't think anything of it. I didn't read anything about the synopsis or who was in it or there was one guy in particular that I definitely recognized from Memories of Murder. Um, but other than that, I didn't look into it. I didn't know what it was about. I had no idea where it was gonna go. And I was just like, all right, let's see where this ends up. And I was pleasantly surprised.
Make a T-shirt that says that in Bong Joon Ho I trust. That is a really
Honestly,
good
if there
quote.
was one, I would buy it. I definitely would. And if not, then I might as well make it because I'm sure a lot of people
I'll
would
buy
buy
it
it. I know
because I
plenty of
trust him.
people. Yeah, I do too. Like anytime that I'm introduced to a movie of his, I'm like, okay, I at least know that I'm gonna like it just off of Memories of a Murder alone. I knew, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna like this. Um, and yeah, Mother has a lot of aspects in this movie that are pretty close to that of Memories of Murder. Have you seen Memories of Murder?
Yeah, I saw it. It was my first movie of
Oh,
2025.
cool.
It was a big blind spot because if you love Parasite and you're talking about Bong Joon Ho, everybody will say to you on film Twitter, "You haven't seen Memories of Murder? That's his best movie." And I'm like, "Is it better than Parasite?" Okay, yeah, maybe it is because it's insane and it's a true story, which is even crazier.
Yeah.
Um, but so
And
good.
it's even crazier that they caught the guy that ended up doing it based on that because of that movie. Like they reopened the investigation and ended up catching him later because of that movie.
It has one of the most it has one of the most. It's not like super crazy endings, but it makes you think
Oh
in
yeah.
perspective. That I didn't talk for like a couple hours, just being like, you know what I mean? That's how good he is.
Yeah.
And Mother, I think, is another really good movie by him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And it has a lot of those like what the fuck moments. Um for very different reasons. There's a few moments in this movie that I'm just like, what in the world is going on? Mostly out of just like a cringe factor, but that's not because of like bad writing or bad acting or anything like that. It's just the way that the characters interact with each other, um, and like the dynamics that they have with each other. You were saying that the mother has like this overbearing, responsibility to her son who is disabled. Um, Although I have questions about that on whether or not he is disabled, and I guess we'll get to that in a second. Um, but she is rather overbearing to her son, who's probably in his late 20s, mid 20s.
Yeah.
Um, and she's very protective over him. Uh, Very much like, I don't trust people. I don't really trust that you're gonna be okay by yourself. Um, Kind of ableist in that regard. Now, granted, I know she means well, but I don't think she understands kind of what she is doing to him and making it worse for him. But yeah, she's just very overbearing. Um, and this kid ends up being convicted of murdering a young girl after going out um, to a bar called the Manhattan Bar in South Korea. And he gets very drunk. And he's also, he doesn't understand a lot of social cues and a lot of like social aspects. His memory is not great. And you mix that with alcohol, and things typically don't go well. Um, and he ended up following a younger girl, probably in her early 20s, um, into an alley at night, and he kind of blacks out and forgets things. And uh, when they wake up, they find out that she was found dead and kind of like, I guess, draped over a banister. I guess it's technically a banister at the top of a roof, but yeah, she was draped over a roof and found dead the next morning. And because this young kid was collecting golf balls at a golf course uh, the day of or the day before, and ended up leaving a golf ball at the roof of the building, he was ended up convicted of murder and thrown in jail. And his mother obviously believed that he could not have done this. There was no way for him to be able to do this, and wholeheartedly believed that he was being framed. And for a while there, it seemed like he was being framed. Um, this movie has quite a few twists and turns. Did you like suspect him from the get go, or did you feel like, oh, this is like this something's going on here?
Okay, so in the beginning, I for sure thought when he got hit by that car that he suffered a concussion.
Yeah,
And I was convinced that him not getting looked at would affect him throughout this whole movie. But of course, that's not even where it goes.
no,
But it's insane that he gets hit and like he just gets up. His friend gets him up and they go chase those people at the golf. You ever think about that? Like as soon as he got hit, the last thing he knew was chasing somebody down. Like we need to get this dude to the
the funny
hospital
thing
because
is,
head injuries.
the funny thing is, he only said he's like, oh yeah, I just got my leg. Like later in the movie, he was like, oh yeah, he only hit my leg whenever he hit me with the car. Whenever he finally started to remember being hit by the car, and I was like, I could have swore you got more than that. But all right,
Well, yeah, he flew a little bit because he went over it, and I swear, I mean, I don't know. Like I said, I was just shocked.
yeah,
Did I think that he did it? Let me tell you about Bong Joon Ho. Why am I struggling to say this guy's name? I say it all the time. Randomly, I'm just like Bong Joon Ho. Um, I don't trust anything going into a Bong Joon Ho movie.
yeah, I
I
don't
know
either.
he's gonna do something that's gonna make me. So I had my guard up. Like I look like Floyd Mayweather, defense wise, going into every scenario. I thought for sure there was something else, that was involved. But man, he got me. I ain't gonna lie, he got me because by the time we got to that end, I was like, oh yeah, it does kind of make sense. Do you have like, well, you don't have to answer personally, but I can confirm that I do not have this type of mother. Let me fry. And truthfully, at the end of the movie, I don't blame her because I would have been wrong. But I don't have that type of mom. My mom was like, "You're going down by yourself,
Yeah,
100%."
I don't know if my mom necessarily would. Well, no, she definitely would have been like, trying to do it, like trying to prove my innocence as much as she could. But if she had ever found out that it was legit me, like, and there was no other way of looking at it other than the fact that it definitely was me, she would have been like, "Nah, bud, you're on your own. Like, you got yourself in this mess. You got to get yourself out." But if she had an inkling to believe that I was innocent or being framed or whatever, I do believe that my mom would at least try to help me out. But if I was Dunzo, then I'm Dunzo. That's it.
That's what a good mom does in the beginning. At first, it's like, all right, I gotta make sure my child is okay. My mom would be like, "Is there anybody else who can take care of this? I'm a little busy at the moment." I'd be like, "I'm not going anywhere. I'm in jail. Like, I
Yeah.
need you to come down now." Yeah, she's like, "Are you sure you didn't do it?" And I'm like, "No, I didn't do it. Like, come get me." But I do know, I can relate to this, by the way. I do
Yeah.
know somebody, or used to know somebody who had a mom like this. Not joking. Not he didn't commit murder, but she did help him. She would cover up from constantly when he would have he had some issues. And one time the cops were looking for him and she lied 100%. Remember telling somebody that I knew in that situation. It wasn't anything like too crazy what he would have got in trouble for, but I don't know. I would never lie to a cop directly. I'll tell you that right now. Absolutely not. I don't have that type of luck to get away with it, by the way. That's
Yeah.
why. But she would protect him. So when I'm watching this movie, I like the mom to an extent, but then I got kind of frustrated because it reminded me of this woman. Because as you said, like being a little too protective, at some points they're never gonna learn. But I just want to state that the person I'm talking about didn't have a disability. Because Dune June, I think that's his name, the
Yeah, something
son.
like that.
Yeah, he definitely through me. I'm like, there's something not right about him. Like he needs supervision. Like he needs to have someone watch him because he's not making um clear and concise like decision making.
Yeah, there's part of me, there's a theory in me that believes that that wasn't due to birth.
Oh yeah, I agree.
Um,
If you're going that route,
yeah,
yeah.
and we'll get to that in a second. So the mother, she is something else. Her relationship with him is very, very weird thing. Like, she's making this food for him. She's like, he lives with her, obviously. Um, and this one comment that really just kind of creeped me out was whenever they were eating that first meal together before all of this happened, and he goes to eat some of the food, and she's like, "Oh no, you got to eat this too. It's good for your virality." But she knows that he's not like going out and dating and like getting laid. Like she knows that because she is so overprotective. And it was just like this
Yeah.
weird like feeling that I had whenever she was talking about that. And they sleep in the same bed together. And like he was just very close to her, almost in like an edible type relationship with his mother. At least that's what it felt like throughout the beginning of the movie.
Yeah. I guess I agree with you. It was a little strange. I'm like, but I guess from that the way I relate to it to that situation with that mom I was talking about
Yeah.
is I remember having a conversation about them because I was just like, what are we doing here? And I remember both parents, but the mom was like, wait till you have kids again. I wonder if it's because, um, do we maybe you and I are not parents that we don't understand, but I guess like in parents' eyes, they see the best. Well, most parents will see that they want the best for their kids, right?
Yeah.
Like we know Dune June is not going to have a girlfriend, and he's most likely not going to have any children because, like you brought up the social cues. But in her mind, I think she is hoping for the best. And then something you alluded to that might be the cause of his disability, I think there's a certain guilt to that. That's why she constantly reinforces him like he's 100% normal.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way, but like he's just, he's not all there. And then, I think people take advantage of him too because of his the way he's not able to think clearly.
Oh yeah,
Like you
the guy that he was with,
Oh, Jinte?
yeah, Jinte, like he was taking advantage of him big time. He was like, why did you, like, whenever he went to the golf course, they were trying to find the car that ended up hitting I forgot how to say his name, but
June, I think it
yeah,
is.
Doon Jun. They went to go find that car. It was a black BMW. They found it. Jinte goes and kicks the mirror and like breaks the mirror, right? And he looks over at him at the kid and goes, "Why'd you do that?" Even though he's on the opposite side of the fucking car. And he's like, "Why'd you do that? You shouldn't have done that. Why'd you do that? You're gonna get us in trouble." Because he knows that he can easily just manipulate him into believing anything that he says. And lays the blame on him, on the kid, whenever they eventually get caught by the cops and get taken to the precinct. He's like, "Oh yeah, he did it. He's the one who kicked the mirror down." But like, let's be fair, he doesn't necessarily know what he's doing, like alluding to his mental disability. And I was like, this guy fucking sucks. So like, I don't like this guy. I really don't like him. And I wanted it to be him, to be the guy that ended up killing her the entire time, because I was like, I want him to get his comeuppance, and he doesn't, and it pisses me off. In fact, he looks like the fucking hero at the end. But yeah, so we have him disappear for a little bit, and then the night comes to where the kid goes out. He goes and gets drunk after he has an argument with his mom. He eventually comes back. Another weird aspect of their relationship. He comes back, falls asleep in the bed. He turns around, grabs her tit, and she's like, "Oh yeah, not right now," kind of. And I'm like, that's just weird. And they wake up, and then that's when they find out that, like, a couple hours into the day, that's when they find out that this girl's been found dead. It was the first murder in like several years, and no one's really had that kind of problem in that small village or small town. And they immediately arrest him within, I'm guessing, like a couple of hours. I think it's within the same day that they found the body. And just automatically, they're like, oh yeah, he did it. Like, they didn't really look into it too much other than the fact that there was a golf ball found. And that was it. And he's sitting there in that jail cell for days. And the mother is obviously distraught. So she starts to go out and try to find lawyers. And all of them are kind of like, this is a lost cause. There's no way that, we're going to be able to clear his name at this point based on whatever evidence they had at the time, which honestly was just a golf ball. That was it. That's the only evidence that they had against this kid. And the fact that he was like drunk the night before. That was it. And she's trying so hard to get somebody's attention, a lawyer's attention, but she obviously doesn't have the money to do it. But then miraculously gets all this money out of nowhere. Like, for several different things, for several different lawyers, for Jinte to go and beat people up. Like, all this money comes out of nowhere. Like, I know she borrowed some money from people, but the thing is, like, there was no disclosure of how much she borrowed. There was no, like, it was weird that she ended up having all this money, even though she kept saying, I don't have any money, I don't have any money, I don't have any money. And then was able to do all these things with all this money that she did not have. Which I get that she was like trying to do whatever she could to get her son back, as any mother would if they wholeheartedly believe that their child is innocent of such a major crime as murder. But it didn't make sense to me that she was able to get all this money out of nowhere. And even after paying all this money, a lot of people were just kind of like, meh, we don't believe you. We think this is gonna be a lost cause. There's no point.
It's funny. I'm the perfect person to mother with because I'm going back to that mom for an example because I'm telling you everything. It's almost similar outside of a murder.
Yeah.
Just want to state that. yeah, um, borrowing money. I think a lot of people felt bad for her. I think people sympathize for her, and I think because like in all of most of the movies I've seen with Bong Joon Ho, they deal a lot in particular with social status and social classes in Korea, and really why Joon goes down so easily is the police are being pressured to find out who did this because it doesn't happen often. He's the perfect scapegoat. You know, he'll just go with it because he's not very good at critical thinking, and he had no lawyer present. And so it's easy to frame him. And then you see the difference in classes immediately when he got hit by the car, because by the time we realized who hit him, it was a bunch of professors. You know, they treat Doonjun and Jin Tae like they're above, like they're not even worthy of even being there because the professor's mirror was broken. Not that Doonjun got hit by the car, you know. And by the way, another good thing with Bong Joon Ho that you mentioned, he is so good at doing little parts of humor, and it's so effective. Like the way Jin-tae kicked that mirror, and then Doonjun tries and completely eats shit, is brilliant, and it's so funny. And then you brought up another thing too, where he was like, Jin-tae blames Doonjun. It's so funny, but you're also kind of pissed because you're like, Jin-tae, stop, man. Like, you know, Doonjun is not the brightest, you know. And at the time, I thought he had a concussion, so I'm like, he's not thinking correctly. And then by the time I realized what's really going on, I'm like, Doonjun should always have a lawyer with him 24/7 because he is incriminating himself constantly. Um, but yeah, that was insane with the money stuff. Yeah, I guess you know it's what I didn't think about it as much because I just thought she probably put herself in a lot of debt. Are you familiar? Like a lot of the Korean movies I watch, um, she must have borrowed it from family or well, for friends
I
really.
was
I
about to
don't
say
think
I
there's
didn't
any other
really see
family.
any family, but yeah, I think she borrowed it from a lot of friends. I know she had that one lady that was like a customer of hers for her acupuncture stuff that she was doing under the table. Which we'll bring that up here in a minute. Um, and I think that's where she got the majority of the money from. Uh, was from them, and then whoever else came to her. I think the shop that she worked at was hers. So I think that um, other customers that she knew and had people come in, they probably gave her a little bit of money too. But there was like no definitive answer as to where she got most of the money. You just kind of had to guess, which is fine. Um, it was just kind of weird that it was like, okay, she has no money and now she has all this money, and then now again she has no money. Um, it kind of fluctuated quite a bit as far as like where
Yeah,
she was monetarily to be able to do all of these things.
and I also wonder if it was also her just being really reserved because she didn't have much funds. Because like with the I think she was given a lot of whatever she did, some of those fruits and stuff she was doing. I think she was given a lot of extra to get there. But you brought up that lawyer. Yeah, that lawyer showed you exactly how lawyers are, especially when they don't think it's a winnable case, but they'll still take your money. And they took advantage. She gets taken advantage a lot.
So much.
So I sympathize with the mother, by the way, for the first hour or so. I was
Yeah.
on her side because I was sick of Doon Junes because his mom tries to be a good mom, you know, and this is before we find out the full details to why he has some animosity toward her. But she tries her best, man, and I'm like, bro, you can't just be a little nicer to your mom. I'd be like, because she's rooting for you, and everyone else gave up on you,
Yeah.
you know. I mean, Jin Tae doesn't even visit him in the
Oh,
jail.
Jinsei don't give
Like,
a fuck about him.
I like him, by the way. I like Jin Tae, but I just want you to know that when you read manga, I don't blame. I think her name was Mina, the daughter of the Manhattan bar owner.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, when you're reading manga, you don't want anybody grabbing you when you're in that climax of that chapter. You know,
Yeah.
not to say that I've been there, but if someone did that to me, I'd be like, yo, can you stop? Like, I'm this close to finishing Demon Slayer. I need you to stop. But see, that's a little humor right there with Bong Joon Ho, is that he'll throw these little things that make you kind of laugh because you're just like, what? She just plops herself down and immediately just starts reading a manga.
Yeah.
And Jin Tae's like, yo, we getting down. And it was really strange that the mother
Dude,
is in that
that was
closet.
so weird because I was like, I feel uncomfortable. I'm like,
Yeah,
this is weird. I know that there's a reason behind it and everything, but it's like this feels strange. Um, I think part of part of the reason that scene was there is because she realizes that like um Dong is not gonna be able to have that kind of relationship, and she's kind of like, oh, that sucks. But it's also very strange that she's just sitting there watching. Like, she didn't really divert her eyes very much. She was just sitting there watching. I understand if she would have, like, diverted her eyes and, like, waited for them to finish up and fall asleep, you know? But she just kept sitting there just, like, enjoying it almost. I'm like, "Okay, this is weird."
Well, here's a good question. Is that I think her name is Mina, if I
Yeah.
remember. Actually, I have the thing I should look, but I think it's Mina, the Manhattan bar owner girl that hooks up with Jinte, but she was flirting with Doonjun that night at the
Kind
bar.
of, yeah.
And I wanted to ask you, do you think she was legit flirting with him, or you think she was just messing with him?
I think it would have been the latter, not so much him. Like, her actually liking him. I think it was her kind of fucking with him. Not in that kind of way, but, like, just kind of messing around with him just to, I don't know, get her own rocks off, to be like, I'm just kind of toying with this kid. Um, yeah, I don't know. That was really weird to me because I couldn't really tell if she liked him or not. But in my opinion, I don't think she really did. I think she was just there to kind of mess with him. Um, I know she obviously
I'm
liked
on the
Jinte.
opposite.
Really?
Yeah, I think because she's a younger girl and she just wants to, I think she's a young girl that this happens a lot.
Yeah.
That older guys will approach younger women. And I was like, don't do that, Doonjun.
Yeah.
You're not going back to that bar. One, you want to go back to the bar, right?
Yeah.
Because you're not even paying your tab. Your mom has to come pay it, which is even more embarrassing. But I think she was interested in him, but I think if she had to choose between Jinte or Doonjun, I mean, I don't know about you, I'm probably going to go with Jinte. At least he's a little bit smoother. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And I'll survive, so that would be another big caveat.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I don't know. I don't really know how I feel about her and Jun's relationship. Um, yeah, not long after the mother is like done being. By the way, she finds a golf club in there that she believes to be the weapon of choice to kill the girl because she was found with blunt force trauma to her head, and that's what ended up killing her. Um, so the mother believes that the golf club, the driver, was the item used to kill this young girl. So she preserves it as best she can, although it is raining outside, and tries to take it to the police precinct to try and get DNA off of it because she believes that whatever red mark that was on the driver was the blood of the girl that was killed. I can't remember her name to save my life, but Jin Moon.
Oh, Moon.
Moon, yeah,
Moon On-jun.
Moon on June.
This is
Yeah,
how much I pay attention
yeah,
to
yeah.
that. To those, I like those Korean names.
I couldn't remember. I knew it was like Moon something. I was like, I don't remember what it is, but yeah, she was hoping that find blood on there. Sadly, it was just lipstick that they found after they were fucking around and using it like a karaoke mic while she was dancing around naked and shit. Um, so that was to no avail. So the mother just keeps putting herself in crazy situations because she knows that nobody else is actually going to go to bat for her son. Um, and every time it's just to no avail. So you're like, there's got to be a point when this picks up and it actually pays off, and it never does. At least for her, like to where she can find a bit of evidence against the contrary of her son being the one that ends up killing Moon, and it never falls ever.
No, but for audiences, it really Bong Joon Ho does a good job because there's that random scene where we find out later that Jin-tae is the one who pulled the golf club out of the water.
Yeah.
So immediately that's in the back of your mind. Why did he go back for it? And then when the mom has the golf club, I immediately like, oh man, did Jin-tae do this? He did something stupid last time. And when the mom kept failing, yeah, it was kind of frustrating. And I also felt even incredibly bad for her because I'm like, man, she really loves her son so much that she's willing to go through, like you said, crazy situations that could put her in grave danger, to be honest.
Yeah.
Because that could have went south if Jin-tae had found out, and eventually Jin-tae does find out what she did. And I was a little uncomfortable with that too because, I mean, a lot of moms don't like their son's friends. We all have a couple friends that moms like, you need to get better friends. But trying to get your son out by trying to possibly get someone else framed. And maybe it would have worked out if it was true, but it can be a crazy gamble that could backfire because they're going to come for you when you do stuff like that. When you put somebody's life in possible danger and it turns out that they're innocent, they're going to come get you, right? I mean, I would be terrified like if I was the mom, but she didn't care.
Yeah, I don't think that was
honestly,
really on her mind. I think it was, get my kid out of jail at all costs. And it pretty much was. Like, it was definitely get my kid out at all costs. It was a roller coaster in the beginning, and what was I gonna say? What's my train of thought? Oh no, I just went blank.
do this.
Do the whole temple thing, right?
Let's do this to get our
the
thoughts.
Temple of Doom thing.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, she was so protective for him and would do anything and everything she could. Think the next big thing that she did with that was, well, at first she kind of just gave up for a while, and then he started to remember things after being beaten up. Like he would get his ass kicked and get his head whacked around a little bit and then end up remembering things.
Yeah.
This is,
and he doesn't like the R
the R word,
the R slur that about mental disability, which I'll be honest, nobody likes that word. That is fighting words. But for some reason that triggers him, which is later revealed that his mom told him if somebody calls him that to kick his ass. It kind of reminds me of Forrest Gump.
Yeah.
If Forrest Gump had not been a nice guy.
Yeah.
Like this is what we would have got.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, he did get his ass kicked.
Oh
yeah. Yeah.
And okay. So yeah, he gets called. One of the prisoners goes up to another one and is like, "Hey, just I'm quoting the movie here. Call him a retard." Just out of nowhere, out of the blue, nothing. He's like, "Go on, it's funny. Just go call him a retard." He goes and calls him that, and he doesn't really respond. He's like, "Whatever, I'm kind of not paying attention to you right now." And then he gets in his face and does it again. Still no response. Goes back to the guy that told him to call him a retard. And says it again. And then that's when it finally snaps. And he's like, all right, that's it. And just tackles the guy and starts wailing on him. And then apparently gets his ass kicked whenever more, prisoners come by and start to defend the guy that, was harassing him. And that's what causes him to start remembering things. And the biggest thing that he ended up remembering was that his mother tried to kill him when he was young, at the age of 5. He's like, I started to remember something that I didn't know, and I didn't know was in there. Whenever his mother was visiting at the jail, and they were in combo, and he was like, you tried to kill me. Why'd you try to kill me? And she was like, whoa, like she didn't realize that he was going to remember that. And there was this whole argument just back and forth. And he was like, I don't ever want to see you again. Like, you tried to kill me. Like, I'm fucking done with you. And they cut that relationship off. And you can see it's like really eating away at her and her guilt. Like, big time. And she later, I think it's not long after that, was talking to somebody else and was like, oh yeah, during like an acupuncture thing where she's like, oh yeah, I can hit a certain point in your body to help you forget things because they were distressed. They were stressed out and she was like, oh yeah, I can help you with that. And that's when I was like, wait a minute. Something's going on here. And things started to turn in my mind. I was like, I don't necessarily know what's going on here, nor do I know what's going to possibly go on here, because you never know with this guy, with Bong Joon Ho. But that's when I was like, something's a little weird here. What did you think about that little twist?
So when it's revealed that the mom, I think it was like try to give him pesticide. She's basically trying to kill him
Yeah, I
first
think
so
kill
that she could
herself.
kill herself because they were struggling. Like I said, social classes. Bong Joon Ho loves to use that theme, and it really kind of opens your eyes about Korea a little bit. About it's a struggle. It's a little different from over here in America. Yeah, that really set kind of like my mind was like, oh, and unlocked that. Oh, I understand now why she's like this. There's this guilt, so she's constantly trying to protect her son. And then, yeah, the thing you're referring to with the acupuncture is something where it unlocks it unlocks a traumatic or stressful or painful things in the heart, and it goes through the thigh. And when she does that, apparently it'll help you um, be relieved of the pain. Yeah, I think she might have done that to Doonjun maybe, or I mean, she might have, she might have even done it to herself because the way she reacted, I mean, you thought somebody was getting murdered. The way she screamed, and I remember thinking like, oh, it all makes sense now. Why I think he had animosity toward her, but he didn't really fully understand why because there's so much trauma. I mean, so your mom tries to kill you at 5, you may not fully understand it or remember it, but there's some animosity, like underlining trauma that you'll like why is he so like this with his mom? And I think that kind of made sense. And then the mom, now I understood why she was doing what she was doing, you know. But let me tell you about Bong Joon Ho. He knows how to do these things. He knows how to add little elements to a movie, right? Like you mentioned the comedy, the way the R word. That's not the funny part of it, but the way it's executed was like an inmate tells another inmate, and the way comedy is works most effectively is timing, and how the actors say it with the timing. So when the actors like tells one prison guy says to the other, "Hey, go tell him this," and you just watch the camera move, and then he says it, and you're kind of like waiting for it because you know that Doonjun's going to react. Doesn't seem to work because he's too busy doing this. He's thinking, and then he says it again, and he's like, "All right, what the hell's up with this guy?" So he turns around, and just like the mirror, it comes perfectly. He just attacks the guy, and it's funny. The R word's not funny. It's the fact that he went after him. Um, Yeah, and it's just brilliant. But yeah, that twist, I was just like, it's like being in a fun house, you know, with Bong Joon Ho. I don't know exactly what's going on. As soon as I have an idea, I go toward it and I run into something and I'm like, what the hell? But yeah, so I thought for sure we were gonna get more of the truth, but then I think you're gonna probably bring it up right now. But the one that I kind of had thought was what the real culprit of what happened to Moon On June was her backstory, and her backstory is messed up, by the way. Like everybody in this movie is needs to go to therapy because there's some messed up things happening here.
So once it is revealed that um, she started doing these little techniques with acupuncture to kind of rid people of these bad thoughts, I really started to think that her son's mental state was kind of her own doing. Um, because he is very forgetful, I think that's really the only thing that uh, clued to some sort of mental problem was his inability to remember things. There were some social cue issues, but it was mostly due to the fact that he couldn't remember anything. And so my immediate thought was, oh, she's the one that made him like this. So she feels this guilt to then basically baby him for his entire life. I wonder how many times she did it if she was basically the root cause as to why he is the way that he is. She never said anything about him being born that way. Um, so my immediate thought was, oh yeah, she is the reason that he is like this, which is why she has such an attachment to him, mostly out of guilt. Um, and she kept telling him, if anyone gives you any problems, you stick up for yourself as much as you can. But I really do believe that she was the one that made him like that. Do you think that's a little far fetched, or?
No, actually, I think actually that was a really good point to bring up. By the way, yeah, I think so that she was because she was trying to do him a favor because they were struggling so bad that she just thought I guess it would be easier if they both died and and him going first would make it easier for her. It was clearly inappropriate and a mistake, but that mistake would become costly now in this movie. Yeah, I think that he was fine before she did this. I think that I think it was like pesticide or something like
Yeah, it was
that
some sort of
that
pesticide.
she used.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that can affect that could affect memory and something with the brain. So I think she did definitely do that because some of his just the way Doonjun is a character, yeah, there's a little bit of like, and they probably couldn't afford a doctor, and nor would she admit that because she'd be in big trouble if she had said like, "Oh yeah, try to kill my son." They would be like, "All right, stand by." Calls the police. The police are coming to get her. You know what I mean?
Well, even the lawyer, whenever he said that, because he was there in the room, or no, was it the
Mm.
lawyer or was it the detective or one of the detectives? I think it was the lawyer, wasn't it?
For which
Whenever
part?
for in the room, whenever he was like, "Oh yeah, you tried to kill me."
Oh, it was a guard. The guard
Yeah, yeah.
immediately. There was a guard,
And
and
he
he
kind
tries
of
to get him
looks at
out.
her like,
Yeah.
"Yo, like, what is he fucking talking about? Like, what in
Yeah.
the world?" Um, but yeah, like I definitely believe that um, she was the reason that he is the way that he is. Um, Going a little bit further into the actual plot of the movie, we find out that Moon has quite a few proclivities with a lot of the men in the village. Um, there are rumors going around that she is one of those that would just kind of do it for the sake of doing it. Uh, she would sleep with a lot of guys, or at least be very, very, very close with a lot of guys. Um, and uh, Doonjun's mother finds out that she had a camera. Moon had a camera that was manipulated uh, to remove the very manufactured sound. For those of you who don't know, in South Korea, in Japan, and a lot of places, there is a law that all camera phones have to have some sort of um, indicator to say that a photo is being taken so that perverted individuals cannot go and take unwanted photos of women, men, whatever. Um, and she had found out that Moon had one of these manipulated phones to where it does not trigger any sort of sound whenever a picture is taken. Um, and she finds out that through like flashbacks and stuff, we find out that Moon was taking photos of a lot of the men that she was sleeping with or, having fun with. And there's numbers being thrown around of like 20 people. And a lot of them are, people that if their picture were to get out, there would be a lot of trouble, whatever is typically what is being said. So the belief then turns to being, oh, well, obviously it was someone that was afraid that their picture was going to get out and get to the masses. So that
Mhm.
started to kind of play into everyone's minds of being like, or at least in my mind, of being like, okay, there's a possibility that somebody did not want this to come out and ended up killing her. Um, we found those two guys that were trying to attack the girl that ended up manipulating those phones because they wanted to find out where Moon's phone was because they were victims of that. Um, so there's the question of like whether or not they ended up killing her. Did you
Mhm.
did you have that same thought, or was that just me?
I do remember her having the word you used was really good, by the way. That was like, did you read dictionary? Because that was a really good word. Because that was a perfect way to describe it. But yeah, there was some sadness in finding out that truth. Because if I remember correctly, that most of the reason why she was sleeping with men is because she had a grandma that was a little off her rocker, and she was kind of having to take care of this grandma. And this poor girl, who's she's a young girl going to school. She's tasked with taking care of things, and I think she was sleeping with the men um, in exchange for rice.
Yeah,
So I'm assuming that they didn't have enough money.
rice and
And
rice
I think
paper.
she got the nickname, yeah, the rice cake girl or flour rice cake girl. And I'm not gonna lie, I was a little that really broke me because like that is horrific to think that a young schoolgirl has to sleep with men for
Well,
rice.
I think her grandmother
And,
was an alcoholic, because she was constantly looking
yeah,
for rice cake liquor.
Oh,
And
that's
that's
right.
what
Yeah,
she
yeah.
was like. I guess she was trying to make that in her house, like homemade rice cake liquor or rice liquor, which is why she was asking for it because I don't think she had enough money to be able to buy the liquor herself, and people just wouldn't sell it to her, so she would like make it, which is why she was sleeping with all these guys, and the grandmother relied on Moon to provide all of that stuff to her.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, to jog my I was over here like, hold on here, like, yeah, I think yeah, but it's still sad
Oh yeah, it's very
because th that's not appropriate, and that's not right, and that's disgusting. So, yeah, the 2 kids that you're talking about, the 2 young guys, did not like them. You know, I for sure thought it made the most sense in terms of what would happen to Moon. I mean, he puts it right in our face, so, I kinda lost my sense. I got caught up like being a movie, like being a regular audience member, just kind of just soaking it all in. And I should have known better that Bong Joon Ho is not going to just make it that easy.
yeah,
But yeah, that was a shocking reveal,
yeah.
and you know there's a nosebleed that goes into that like he leaves these little clues. By the way, he leaves these little clues
He's
for you to
so
kind
good.
of figure out what the hell. Yeah, and I can't. I got to be honest that learning that whole truth was even like because you kind of get to know Moon a little bit because we don't really get to know her too well because she's kind of just there as the kind of a plot. She was murdered,
Yeah,
but we get to know her a little bit there, and to hear her, like one of the best parts. I don't know if about you visually, there's some really good parts of Mother, and one of them is in that scene where, um, the the Moon's friend is the one who can remove the sound,
right, right.
and we find this out, and so Mother, I just call her Mother, tails that friend and then pretends that she needs that thing removed,
Hmm.
right? And then as she's doing that, the mother asks about Moon, and the young girl finds a way to maneuver out of that by saying, "Hey, I need some lady products. I'm having that time," and then disappears. But then she gets, Mother finds her almost getting visibly attacked by these 2 kids, and she had a scar on her cheek, and now we know where that came from, was these young men, which is very concerning that young men are cutting women up.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like, what is happening here? But this is why I brought up the wailing earlier. In that scene, the mom, and this is a really cool visual cue, is the mom has to find a distraction, so she sees somebody who works in one of the buildings, comes out to throw out trash or something, and she moves the hand of the bottle. It's a really cool shot and drops it. But if you are a fan of the wailing,
hmm.
that actor is the main actor of the wailing.
Oh, the guy
And
that
he comes in,
the
the
was
one
in the alley.
that ends up chasing those 2 guys. Yeah,
That's cool.
he's the main actor. So immediately I'm like doing the Leo thing.
Yeah,
That scene is pretty cool because by the time we get to another scene, which you might, maybe I'll let you bring up what's going to happen there, but there's a visual part of this story that I'm like, Bong Joon Ho is brilliant for how he does this. I guess I'll let you, because I really love you bringing up these scenes because it helps set up everything. Is like that scene where the mother has to get Jin-tae involved with these 2 guys.
yeah. I will say, now that I've been like thinking about them in my head, these 2 guys in my head, they kind of remind me of Crab and Goyle for some reason from the Harry Potter movies. I don't know why, but now that I see them in my head, that's kind of what I equate them to is like the Korean Crab and Goyle. Um, but yeah, she ends up going to Jin-tae because she knows that he's like rather assertive and kind of intense. Um, and she's like, "Hey, I need a favor. I need to figure out where uh, Moon's phone is. I know that I fucked you over and made you look bad and made you look like you were possibly the one that killed this girl. But I need some sort of help here. This is my last little ditch effort." She's like, "Can you help me out?" So he goes and grabs these, Korean Crab and Goyle and takes them to amusement park or like a rundown fair. It looks like, I don't know if it's rundown or anything, but it's like after hours. Um, and he throws them both into separate pods in a Ferris wheel, and he starts interrogating them. And he's like, "Hey, where the fuck is his phone?" why is this phone so important? Do we understand where it's at? Like, and then that's when we kind of get to understand like what is on the phone and why it's there and why it's so important. And you can tell that Jinte is like really enjoying this. And he just starts wailing on these guys, like just beating the fuck out of them, like kicking their teeth in, like just enjoying every
Yeah.
second of it. And he's even like, at one point, he's even like, I should have been a fucking cop. Like, I'm really enjoying this. I should have been a fucking cop. And I'm like, damn, brother, like, you're crazy. But yeah, he starts beating the fuck out of him, and they these two kids don't really necessarily know where the phone is, but they kind of believe that it is with the grandmother. And so, the mother has to play off as if like she's gonna go over there and she's a friend of Moon's, or Moon asked her to come over or something like that. And we finally meet the grandmother that Moon has been trying to like supply a lot of rice to. And you see just how messed up she is. Like she is a quintessential like alcoholic. Very quintessential alcoholic. And it kind of plays into a lot of the themes that we were talking about on your podcast, because you're doing a theme of like addiction ain't no joke. And you can see just how bad the addiction had gotten her based on the way that she was looking, the way that she was acting. She was like, where's my rice? Where's all this stuff? Where's the stuff that I need to get my fix? And the mother was like, bro, I have no idea what's going on here. I just need this phone that I was asked to come get for Moon to go give to Moon. Like, I know you have it and she needs it. And she was playing it off as if Moon was still alive. I don't think the grandmother knew at that point, even though it had been days, that her own granddaughter was dead. It didn't seem apparent to me that she realized that Moon was gone.
I think she was so intoxicated that she just doesn't even like her mind she's so drunk all the time, it seemed like, you know what I mean? Because I mean, at Moon's funeral, looks like she was drinking,
Yeah.
and when the mother visits, the other people are more mad about it than her. She's like, whatever. But real quickly before you go further,
Yeah.
that scene with the fair, I rewound and watched it multiple times, was when Jinte threw them into the Ferris wheel and he shuts the door. I love that visual. And then there's a part where we learn about Moon, where the one kid, I think he got his teeth, one of his teeth were coming off. They ask him a story, and it kind of comes down, and you see him as currently, but then it comes down and we see Moon there, and he's still kind of beat up. It's amazing.
Dude, it's such a
It's amazing
cool
how you can,
shot.
yeah,
It's such a
past and
cool
present.
thing.
Yeah, and it's a really good visual of the past and present kind of interlocking, and it kind of helps you understand as an audience member of what exactly, why does she do the phone, and when we find out that backstory with that phone, I just want you to know that if they wanted to make in my mind, I came up with a sequel that all those people, including the grandma, are all going down, because Moon deserved a lot better
No, she
than
does.
what, and it makes you think with the mother, what she's doing with Doon Jun. You're like, man, we all could use a mother at least that would fight for us. Maybe not as much as mother, but a little bit, because you see what happens when you don't have a mother. You have somebody like a grandma who's not in her right mind, who's not in a good place, and this poor child. But yeah, that shot, by the way,
Oh, so
those two
cool.
shots, the Ferris wheel shutting door. Yeah, dude, I'm like, Bong Joon Ho understands also another thing, how to balance humor, like when Jintae's like, I want to be a cop. It's so ridiculous because it shouldn't be funny in this scene, but it is, because he's in the middle of this, he's like talking himself up, like, yeah, I should have been a cop, like, what am I doing, like, why didn't I, because I'm really good at this. And then he balances out thriller, suspense, like he's really good at, and crime. He does a lot of these good detective crimes, and
Yep.
it can all mesh into one and work. Not many directors can do that. I've noticed this with, and so I'm sure you have too, watching a lot of movies. Not every director is as sharp at balancing. And you said the grandma meetup, that gave me horror vibes, because
Oh,
when that
yeah.
grandma popped up, I was kind of nervous. Yeah, I was a little scared, because I was like, oh, mother, you gotta go, because that woman looks
That shit
deranged.
was intense. I was
You know what I
like,
mean?
okay. Like this, I was like, I don't know if I should be looking for a jump scare or what. Because you never know. You never know. And I was like, okay, like we'll see what happens here. But yeah, she finally gets that phone, and it's just one of those, tiny little flip phones, and she starts going through it and sees all these photos of all these men. I think she ended up seeing the two guys that Gente was beating the shit out of. But she ended up seeing, or no, it was like after that they intercut to the jail again, where
Mm-hmm.
Jun is, and I keep fucking up the name, but
Doonjun, I think you got
yeah,
it, or Dojun, but I think it's Do.
yeah, something like that. I don't know.
I'm sorry, I keep doing that.
I'm white,
Oh my
brother.
god.
Like I'm really white. What do you want me to do? Um, but yeah, like they intercut to him being in the jail cell, and he's like, I finally remember. I finally remember. I finally remember. And he was like, call my mom. So she finally like makes her way back to the jail and starts showing the photos of the different people. Like she isn't supposed to have this phone. I don't know how she ended up sneaking it in, but she ended up getting it and started like showing him photos of a lot of the men that were being blackmailed by Moon. Essentially blackmailed in order to get what she wants. Um and he noticed like an old man who was in like just I guess this weird no, he was an old man that she had a picture of on the phone, but he remembered seeing him that night that he was drunk. But then the mother also remembered seeing him as someone who was just walking down the street with a bunch of goods on a cart, and she had to grab
Mhm.
an umbrella because it was the night that or her son was arrested, and she was just walking in the rain without an umbrella, and she was like, "Fine, I'll finally pick up an umbrella," and she realized that it was him. So she's like, "Oh, like I think he might know what actually happened. Maybe he could be my saving grace." So even though Korean Crab and Goyle were really no help other than to go get the phone, like she ended up going to this guy and was like, "You have to help me. You have to help me." She's like, "You're my only hope here." And he's this guy who is just like this junkyard collector who ends up, taking scraps of things and selling it off for money. And she goes in, she's like, "Please, please, please." And he's like, "Oh no, he did it." And you can see the defeat in her eyes where she's like, "What? Like, what do you mean?" He's like, "No, like, he fucking killed her." He's like, "I was sitting in the house, like the abandoned house that she was found on top of. I was sitting in there. I saw both your son." Now, granted, he didn't equate that it was her son, and she was the mother of Doon June. She was like, "Oh yeah, I just saw this kid that was an absolute imbecile who ended up um, following this girl. She went into an alley to kind of lose him, and then she comes back out and calls him a retard, and calls him that several
Mhm.
times, and tries to walk away. And then he lays out the fact that Doonjun picked up a rock and chucked it at her after calling him a retard several times. And that's when all of the culmination of everything that she did all just kind of came to head at once, because
Mhm.
it's essentially her fault that this ended up happening, because she kept telling her son, "Make sure you stick up for yourself. If anyone makes fun of you for what you are, make sure you stick up for yourself." But because he was drunk and because he was like so far gone, he took that to the absolute extreme. And it's when we get that little like, "Oh, you thought it was going to be somebody else. Nope. It was indeed this kid." And that's what I love
Mhm.
about Bong Joon Ho so much.
And I love that you're breaking all this down because I'm actually replaying it as you're talking. I can see
I
it.
can see it in my
Just
head
like
too.
in this, I'm gonna bring it up visually. That what you just said was this is one of my favorite parts visually is when Doonjun and Mother meet and he's recounting this story. They actually show you the scene where he first follows Moon and by the house, and it kind of goes back a little bit so that you can see the old man. That is brilliant.
Mhm.
Okay, that is brilliant. And people who are not big into movies, it's always fun to talk to people who are, I guess, considered general audience. They're not as big into it. Is explain to them how visual cues. If you start paying attention to the visual cues and stuff, it's amazing how much you were gonna soak up a movie and enjoy it more. Was that rewind? Because then you're as an audience, you're kind of like you get swept in it. I'm like, who is that? And my instinct was looking for he's worked with him on many movies. I think his Song is his first name, Sang. But he's in Parasite. He's
No,
actually in Memories of
he's
Murder.
the detective
Yeah,
in Memories of Murder. Yeah, that's who it is. That's the guy that I
one of the finest
love. I
actors.
love him so much.
Yeah. So I was hoping that we are gonna get a little cameo from him, but he wasn't. But yeah, that whole scene when we find out, basically, Jun kind of instigated was like, "You don't like boys," he's so out of it, and he's not 100% there.
Yeah,
He has a disability, so that's like a
possibly.
deadly combination. And she's and she's kind of like she's so sick of men because what men are doing to her, they're abusing her, and she's just defeated because she is like you can tell when he says that she's kind of irked. That's why she's
I
like,
mean, they are,
yeah,
but she's also using them. So it's a weird fine line of like who's really at fault here because
true,
she is also blackmailing them in order to continue to get what she wants.
true. But like, I got to be honest here. Those
Yeah,
men
yeah,
are
yeah.
more at fault
Oh
because
yeah.
there's some grown men
Oh
in
yeah.
from those photos. Yeah, but yeah, she's just so sick of and tired of guys that she turns around and she calls him an R word. And of course, we didn't see this in the original in the beginning. The first time we saw this whole scenario, we just see the rock being thrown. He's kind of like Jun's like, what the hell, from the house. So we don't know who's in the house or anything. And he just kind of like eventually leaves. But now we see the full truth by the old man who was occupying the home because he's homeless. He basically Jun took the rock and he throws it, and then he kind of realizes she's not getting up. And I'm just like,
By the way,
Jun. He threw with accuracy, by the way. He
not only
knew it.
that,
Yeah.
rock seemed to be rather heavy, too. Quite a
Yeah.
distance on it. A good 10-foot distance, man. Actually, more than that, probably. It was essentially like the side of a house length. Ended up throwing it with like a decent arch to get it on her head.
Yeah.
I'm like, what a fucking throw, dude. Like, you killed her, but damn, good throw.
Good throw, but horrific situation that he creates, right? And then my mind was blown because then you go to mother. Mother cannot handle this. And this happens a lot. I've noticed this. This is something that I've had conversations with, is people not being able to handle the truth about their family. I guess I'm one of the rare people who does not give my family the benefit of the doubt. Like if you did something wrong, you're going down.
Mm-hmm.
I will support you in getting the right help, but I'm not going to defend you.
Yeah.
And going back to that mom, I keep bringing up, Drake. I keep bringing up this mom, and I'll tell you off camera who it is. You'll get a kick out of who it is. But that mom, I remember having to reveal things about their son, and they were like, let's you know what?
Actually, I could probably guess.
Let's not even deal with
Yeah.
it. Let's just pretend it didn't happen. And I'm like, well, if we keep pretending this doesn't happen, it's going to happen again. So we need to address it now, don't we?
Yeah.
And the reason why you're probably wondering, why am I involved in this? Yeah, I would like to know why I'm involved in this too. But for some reason, I was tasked with having to be this person's guardian at times. And I'm like, he's a knucklehead. Unlike Doon Jun, nothing traumatic happened to him where he was able to compute things. It was just being a knucklehead. But yeah, when you don't learn your lesson, I honestly believe that parents sometimes need to let their kids fall.
Yeah. And
mother here, yeah.
Well, because she was so adamant to make sure that he did not, fall for this, she immediately was just like, fuck it, I'm going to take it right back into my own hands again. And, she was in this place where she was in this guy's workshop where a lot of sharp, metal objects are around. She's like, I'm going to take advantage of this and do what I need to do. And she she took something and just started beating the shit out of him. It was also blunt force trauma that ended up killing him. So that's kind of like a full circle thing. Blunt force trauma,
thing.
Blunt force trauma got him there, and blunt force trauma got him out of it. And she beat the shit out of him and killed him, and then she was like, "Oh fuck, I just realized what I did," and it's like, well, no body, no crime, and ended up, burning the place down. And the second that we get to that, we go to the next day, and it's like, oh yeah, it was this other kid who JP who
from the sanatorium, right?
sanatorium.
That's what they kept saying.
They kept referencing JP, but you never saw him throughout the entire movie. There was like, what do they call him? Cool JP or like Angry JP? Which one was it?
I just remember them calling JP from the sanatorium. It's funny is that we never really mentioned throughout most of this review, but he is brought up quite a
Yeah,
lot.
a lot.
And Bong Joon Ho is constantly trying to tell us to pay attention to this,
Yeah.
but we can't because there's so much other insane stuff.
See, the thing is, like, it always felt like a red herring because it is Bong Joon Ho. So you're like, I can't trust that whatever is being said was the real deal. But here's like, we know from this guy's account that it was in fact June. But then at the very end, he throws another fucking whoopsie doopsie on us and goes, hey, by the way, they're now arresting that kid that we've been talking about the entire time.
We caught him.
And it was based on a nosebleed that she had because she had like nosebleeds quite a bit. And they found blood on one of his things of clothing. And so they're like, oh yeah, obviously he's the one that did it. And they were like, oh yeah, he confessed to it. But here's the crazy part. He walks into frame and he sits down. I think he actually is mentally disabled.
No, for sure he is. Yeah, you can tell because he's
syndrome. So I'm like,
yeah, he had something.
Yeah, I think he had Down syndrome. So I was like, oh, they are just looking for anybody with a mental disability to fucking pin this on because it seems like the only logical explanation to them. Which is a whole crazy, like, conversation about disability in general. And not a lot of people will do that and do it convincingly to where it's not like, it doesn't feel terrible. I don't feel like, oh my God, I fucking hate the director. I'm like, oh, wait. Like, this is like a decent way of talking about how people with disabilities are completely mistreated and looked at. But then again, it could also be them because they don't know what they're doing. So it's like there's so many different conversations that you can have about this movie when it comes to disability and how parents treat their kids with disabilities and like all these different things wrapped up into a movie from 2009 in South Korea that America still can't get right in 2026.
Yeah, and also like it really shows you like how when you don't do thorough police work, when you do inadequate, and then also I think in other countries a mental disability somehow gets lumped in with mental health and how it's still kind of stigmatized where we are finally kind of a little bit better, but there's other countries that they don't understand it still. And yeah, it just seemed like they with the blood evidence, it just made sense that they could just pin it on this guy. He's not. I mean, they did the same thing that probably what they did to Doon Joon. Was like, we know you did it. Tell us why. And the guy's like, whatever he gave. But let me tell you, that scene. I love when you break this down. I think you do this every time. I don't do it every time.
I felt really compelled to this one where I was like, there's a lot going on. I'm like, yeah.
Actually, we only tackle fucked up movies when I come on here. But yeah, so in that scene where after the mom had killed the old guy, and she's like cutting up some roots, it goes back to the beginning, right? The way the cop is looking at her as he crosses over, and I for sure thought at one point, like, mother, am I getting caught? And then to find out the timing, the way it was brought in, like, no, we found the killer. And then the mom's just heartbroken because she's like, do you have a mother? And she, because mother, you're thinking like this kid's now life is ruined.
Yeah, because she knows
my son's vindicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, she knows the truth. It's more devastating. It's more devastating when you know the truth, but you can't really say anything, because like it's like Spike Lee's movie, Do the Right Thing. You can do nothing. You can do the right, that whole tagline. You can do something. You can do nothing, or you can do something, or you can do the right thing.
Yeah.
Most of the time, we never do the right thing. So of course, the mom's not gonna be like, my son did it. Like he's good. It is it is a bittersweet victory for her.
She also knows that he doesn't understand what he is now in for. Because I don't think they said anything about him getting life, but I think it was like 15 years or whatever for killing this girl. But that's still 15 years of his life that is gone. And I think she knows that he doesn't understand that. And he's just so callously just like, Yeah, I did it. He's so accepting of it. Where he's like, yeah. And I guess
Yeah.
I did it. He doesn't say, oh, yeah, I did it. This is how I did it. It was more like, oh, yeah, I guess I did it. Because they convinced him that he did it.
Yeah. And
Because they
that's a
didn't
whole
have any
nother
actual, like,
conversation.
proof. But they're like, oh, yeah,
No.
it had to have been you because we found this speck of blood on your shirt.
Yeah. And it goes back to when we hear about Moon's background, that she had a nosebleed when she was trying to think about printing out all the photos of her partners.
Yeah, like when
And the
she was
craziest part about, and the craziest part of this whole movie is when that was revealed. I remember the cop being like, when the mom's trying to get her son out originally, when Doonjun goes to jail, the cop tells her, it's already done. I have to go find this guy and Mount. I forgot what it started with, a D, and that's referencing JP the whole time.
Yeah.
I was like, brilliant.
Yeah.
I love.
They
Bong
went to
Joon Ho.
they were
I would
talking
just
about Mount it started with a D.
start with a D. I can't say it,
Diago,
but yeah.
something like that.
And they were looking for JP, and we don't really hear the name in the beginning. We hear it later on, but brilliant.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Because everything, like I said, if you watch movies and you're not as big into it like Drake and I, let me tell you, everything you need to know about a movie will be in the first 15 to 30 minutes.
Usually.
It always goes back. And then if you pay attention. But yeah, brilliant stuff, right?
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
That little red herring the entire time.
And then I know you're going to tell about the ending, because that ending is very a lot to unpack.
That ending is actually, so at the end of the movie, I don't even know what this whole like thing is as far as like where she's going or what she's doing. But yeah, they leave the jail. It looks like there's several days that go by, or was there like a time frame that they said that went by? Was it like a year?
I don't know how long it was, but I just know that it was a little bit. But I guess
There's
like
a small
she
time
needed to
jump.
go on a vacation.
Yeah,
yeah,
but like
to unwind. Yeah.
He was like, "Oh yeah, go on this this thank you mother's trip or whatever." And so like I'm like, okay, is he a student? Is he off somewhere? Is she allowing him to go somewhere and like be a student somewhere or do something? And she gets on this bus to go on this bus trip. And you could tell it's still like eating away at her that she's not only leaving her son, but leaving knowing what he did. And she takes out her acupuncture kit that she's been holding on to this entire time. Which, by the way, she lost at the building where she killed the guy and burned the house down. Mm-hmm. She left it behind on accident, so she could have easily have been found guilty of killing this guy, because everyone knew that it was her kit, even though she was practicing without having a license. And it was the son, it was Doonjun, who found it after he got out of jail. And they went and saw that the house was burned down, so they went and kind of looked around in the aftermath, and he found it and gave it to her right before she left for this trip. And so he was basically the one that saved her from being arrested and thrown in jail for murder, which is a whole nother thing. And yeah, like she goes on this bus and she starts like playing around with the acupuncture kit a little bit. She grabs it and just jabs herself in the thigh. And then we get like I guess it's a wide shot of her like in the bus. We get it from the outside of the bus, and you could see just like her body just like no longer tense up. Like she was all tensed up and like, hunched over. But then she starts to just like, oh. And then she starts to get up and dance with all the other parents that are dancing on the bus.
Yeah, I've never. I don't think you're allowed to be dancing on a bus when it's in motion, driving. Yeah, that sounds like a very bad situation. I think they're all drinking though,
so I can see why they were all doing that. But part of me was like, that's when it clicked with me, where I'm like, oh yeah, she obviously did that to Doonjun this entire time, and that's why he is the way that he is because she just kept poking him every once in a while to get him to forget all of these things that had ailed him for so long. And that's what made him what he is. That's where it clicked for me at the very end, where I'm like, oh fuck, maybe that's what she did.
Well, I think I don't know if you thought about this, but I thought, so it's funny that Jin Tae and Mina are the ones that go get Doonjun out of jail, and then they're,
yeah.
And then, yeah. his friend who didn't show up in the beginning
Both
is
friends
like,
are both
I got
assholes.
you. And then he has this new car, and he's like, I came into some money, but it really is because the mother had to pay him off because she accused him wrongly, and then she had to pay him again to help interrogate. But they go to the burnt house, right? They go to this burnt house, and we don't really necessarily know that Jun has found the thing, right? But when he gives it to his mother at the train station, I wonder if that is his way of saying like, I forgive you, mom.
Yeah.
You now know the truth. His relationship with her is they strained that relationship. Like, it's very strong now. Like, now he trusts her, right? Mom is not the same way. It's no longer the same for her. I think it's not, may have affected the relationship, and that, like you said on the bus, it's this guilt, because he hugs his mom, because basically like, thanks for bailing me out, and then he tries to rationalize. Wonder why they put Moon's body leaned over. Like, maybe he was hoping whoever did it would someone would spot her and be like, she needs help. And my mind, oh my god, I was like, I want to put my hands on this guy. I'm like, are you kidding me? We know you did it.
Yeah.
Enough.
Well,
enough.
that's the thing is like,
Enough, dude.
I think he still had those bouts of like forgetting shit. Of like, not only was he blackout drunk because he clearly couldn't fucking walk correctly, but he also was having those memory issues. So there is a very high possibility that he didn't realize that he was doing it, that he's the one that killed him.
Interesting, because I think he did fully remember, but he thinks his mom is still naive, but she's no longer. I think he's doing this because he believes mom will always protect me.
There's a
And by the
possibility,
time we get to the bus, though, you were right though. By the time we get to the bus, she has to do this thing where she like acupunctures her thigh to unlock a part of the pain in your heart, and you'll finally be free. And when she's dancing in that scene, it seems to indicate to me that, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious. She's freed herself, but it does indicate to me that this could possibly happen again with Dune, and the process repeats. If he does something again, she's going to, but do whatever it takes to get him out. And I think that is the more haunting part of that ending. I think you got to keep the pain. I think I mean, you just have to live with it because you made that mistake, and you know what I mean. But it's crazy when he gave her that thing. I was like, Dune is in his right mind for once.
Yeah.
That's my interpretation, is that he now thinks that mom will always bail him out. And actually, he is right, because she doesn't even care anymore. She gives into the madness of what she's created.
100%.
She created this whole nightmare. Technically, you're right. She's to blame for all this.
Oh yeah.
But I think that trauma, like the memory thing you're talking about, I wonder if it's trauma based. That he sometimes, when it gets too intense, when he does something wrong because of what she did to him, I wonder if it blocks.
Yeah, I mean, that
it gets harder for him.
That's scientifically accurate, because a lot of people that deal with a lot of shit, like, they'll end up blocking a lot of it out because it's like the brain's way of like trying to protect, the person, and trying to protect them as much as they can. That does happen, where people forget a lot of the really bad shit over time, especially whenever it happened at a younger age. Like, they don't forget like the way that it made them feel, or the repercussions of it, but they won't remember like the vivid details of a lot of it sometimes, because it's just like the brain's way of trying to protect them as much as it can. So yeah, I think that's a lot of what it had to be, but also a combination of the mother trying to find a way to make it to where he doesn't remember all the shit that she did to him, because she was, I guess, so desperate or whatever to get rid of him and herself, to get out of what she saw as a bad situation. She didn't see a way out, so she was like, "Fuck it, this is the only way we've got," and tried to relieve themselves of this mortal coil and get out of there.
Yeah. I mean, as if I would have saw this in 2009, and I was working at a movie theater at that time, so
yeah,
I think it may have came by actually, and I would have not been. I wasn't fully invested as I am now, but if I would have saw that movie in 2009, I would have loved it still, but I would have been like, oh man, that's messed up. In 2026, ThePatric is now looking at that we need to make mental health services more available to avoid situations like this, with mom thinking that they're so poor and struggling that the only option was to kill her kid first, then her, and it didn't work out. Because we could avoid a lot of these tragic situations. Because at the end of the day, a girl died.
Yeah.
That's what it all came down to, was a poor girl died who already had a messed up life, and then I don't know. I think the moral of the story is mom should not be overly protective. They need to take a step back at times and assess the situation correctly. You know what I mean? But man, Bong Joon Ho knows how to make a movie, right? Oh my god,
Yeah,
I love it,
I
dude.
love this movie so much. Is there anything about this movie that you didn't like? I mean, I'm guessing that there isn't really anything that you didn't like.
It's funny is whenever this question gets brought up, and if I don't have anything I didn't like about it, people are like, you like everything, but it's really hard to find anything I didn't particularly like about it. I've seen some other movies that dealt with some of these aspects, and I think they may be a little bit stronger. Like, I think Memories of Murder is a little bit stronger in some of the aspects. But yeah, I don't really have too much. I mean, the money thing does pop in my mind now. After you brought that up, I am thinking like, yeah, I am curious how much money she's borrowing or how much she saved, maybe. Because like, it was interesting. Now that you bring this up, now the whole time I'm going like, how did she have all this money for Jinte? And I think it had to do with that rich friend or that rich client that was like, hey, don't get caught with the acupuncture.
Yeah.
But man, because if she went to, I don't know if you know this, but in Korea, like the death, people who loan money, if you don't pay, man, they're chasing you down, beating you up, and doing all kinds of horrific things.
Yeah.
Like they show a little bit in Squid Game, but yeah, I don't have anything too much. What about you? Is there anything that you didn't like?
Not necessarily that like stood out and made me go, oh, okay, I don't like that for the sake of like it. Everything kind of worked in the movie. So there was nothing that was like, oh, that doesn't necessarily work. Now, granted, yeah, the whole money thing was weird, but I was like, I chalked that up to, we've got to get a vehicle going here so that we can get things moving along. But yeah, there's really nothing that I could point to that I'm like, oh yeah, no, I don't like that. I mean, it's a Bong Joon Ho. Like, I'm gonna end up liking it. Where would you put Mother in relation to his other movies? Like, where would you stack it?
Okay, so I've seen Snowpiercer, Memories of Murder. I forgot I had seen that. Mickey 17 and Mother. I think I just named them
And
all.
then Parasite,
So
right?
Mickey 17 would be at the bottom. Oh yeah. Yeah, Mickey 17 goes at the
Yeah.
bottom. It was okay. It was okay for me. Memories of Murder is number 1. And I'm not gonna lie, as a Parasite fan, that was tough, but it is the better movie. Parasite's 2. Wait, no, Snowpiercer's good too. Hold on here. Snowpiercer would go 3 and then Mother.
Really?
Only because the other 3. Yeah, I love Mother though. It's really hard. Man, you gave me a very tough question because sometimes when I've done podcasts with people, they always say that's a tough question. I'm like, no, it's not. But Drake gave me a question, and now I'm like, oh, it is tough when you have to rank only 5 movies I've seen. I haven't seen all the others. What about you?
I haven't really seen many of his movies. The only ones that I've seen are Memories of Murder, Mickey 17, this one, and then Snowpiercer. That's it. That's all I've seen.
Mhm.
So, I mean, this one is obviously going to be number 2 for me. Snowpiercer, or it's going to be Memories of Murder, Mother, Snowpiercer, and then Mickey 17. I read the book of Mickey 17 prior to going to see the movie, and I enjoyed the book a little more than I did the movie. Now, granted, it's not a bad movie, but in a lineup that Bong Joon Ho has, is going to have to sit at the bottom because the other ones are just so much better. Yeah, I definitely would put it second place compared to the other ones I've seen.
You know what's crazy? I don't remember what year it was, but I had talked about it on my original version of my podcast, Mickey 17 News.
Yeah.
Like years before it came out. Man, that's how long it takes for a movie to come out. Is that, you know what I mean? And it was funny because it was rumors that Robert Pattinson would do it and Bong Joon Ho would think it. But yeah, I mean, I don't think he's made a bad movie that I've seen so far. I haven't seen one movie that I'm like, but yeah, maybe You know what? Maybe Snowpiercer gets moved. I haven't seen it. Actually, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it because I might regret that later. But yeah, I love doing these fucked up movies with you. Don't ever. Let's just know every movie if I'm lucky to come back
You're
on
going
here,
to.
let's only do fucked up movies.
Yeah, it's going to be a foreign language
Please.
film that's going to be just like kind of weird and out there that we're going to end up watching and see where it goes.
Yeah.
I always ask these last 2 questions at the end of every podcast. First, would you rewatch Mother? I'm assuming I already know the answer, but go ahead and tell us. Would you rewatch Mother?
Absolutely. I mean, I own it, but I thank you, and I love the First Watch podcast. I am a fan
Thank you.
because I would never have put this on. I want to watch it. It's been on the watch list for a while. I love Bong Joon Ho, but yeah, for sure I will watch this because now I want to see if I can pick up. I mean, I know everything, but I want to kind of go in and see if I really like analyze and try to pick up things, look at the clues and stuff. Oh yeah, this is a movie you could definitely rewatch and enjoy. What about you?
Oh yeah, hands down. It's definitely if it does get a Criterion release or whatever, or if I can find a 4K of this, it's gonna be picked up for sure. I just kind of want like more tidbits of the behind the scenes on the whole process. So if I can find something that has a little bit more on the behind the scenes part of everything, I'm definitely gonna track it down and pick it up. Um, is there a movie that you have seen recently that not a lot of people have talked about that you think that people should give a watch outside of Mother?
Let's see here. You know, it's funny is I'm trying to remember which one I did on your last episode,
Zabon
and I
Hiller.
can't remember it. But I
Or
remember like what's the movie
what
because you always
the
ask
yeah, yeah, yeah.
this.
Or what
Yeah,
the
you
movie
always, and I'm
was.
trying to remember what. So, and I remember the one another episode we did that didn't work out. I had said a movie, and I'm like, will I bring that back? If I had to choose, um, a movie, I guess would be a movie by Randall Park, the actor. If you're familiar, he did a movie called
Mm,
Shortcomings. And I guess it is based on a graphic novel, and it's one of the better movies that didn't get any love. It came out and kind of went, and I think it's phenomenal for an adaptation, and I think it should have been bigger. And maybe I'm a little biased because part of it reminds me of my own life,
mm.
but you should watch it. It's insane, this movie, because I think it analyzes um, individuals in long-term relationships and how we deal with that. And I think you would like it. Personally, I think you would really dig it, but it has Justin Lin of The Umbrella Academy and the Greatest Hits movie, and then Sherry Cola from Joyride, if you've seen that. So yeah, definitely that would be one I'd recommend.
Gotcha. Yeah, I haven't seen Shortcomings yet, but I'll definitely throw it on the watch list and eventually get to it. Um, yeah, I'm really glad that you came on. I'm really glad that we got to talk Mother. Um, like I was saying before at the beginning of this podcast, I was on your podcast that you have revitalized and brought back. It's a podcast called Tomorrow Comes Movies, and I'll let you just go ahead and tell like a little spiel of what that's about and shout yourself out.
So Tomorrow Comes Movie. It's just, it's funny is I use this tagline. It's just the podcast that, spoiler alert, talks movies. I just review movies for this version of the show, and I basically ripped off Drake's entire format. I just have someone rotating, and true story. I had brought this up on my podcast too, but I do shout out to Drake over here because he created something really meaningful and in a positive in this community with the film community and with a podcast where it kind of gets you into watching movies you haven't experienced, or maybe you have, and you're just like, let me check it out again. And so my podcast, we just review movies, and I'm currently doing monthly themes. And just kind of that's basically it. The only difference I think with our podcast is, as Drake has experienced, I do a very long intro with the guests. Like we'll talk for like an hour before we even get to this movie. But I want people to kind of get to know each guest that comes on, so they have an idea of whether or not they're gonna like this person or not. Basically, and you know what I'm talking about because I've already launched it with one episode that was pretty. I've heard is considered entertaining and controversial with my guest. But yeah, but thank you. I do owe you. You're the one that showed me how to do this format. I mean, I should thank you. I totally ripped off your format.
Nah, you didn't rip off anything, man.
I say this every
Yeah,
time.
yeah,
I
he's
say this
called me
every
like
time,
several times, and been
even
like,
off
"I'm sorry."
camera.
I'm like, "No, you're good, dude."
But you encouraged
Yeah,
me.
yeah.
I will
No, I
give him
did.
credit. Behind the scenes, he told me to bring it back.
Yeah.
Because I had shared with him that somebody wanted me to bring it back, and I was like, absolutely not. But it is back. And I hope to have you back
Yeah.
on. Your episode is coming
Okay.
soon, but it is the
Yeah,
longest
probably.
episode I've done. But I can't complain because it was a good conversation.
It was, yeah. I had a good time with it. That was also another first watch for me. Drugstore Cowboy, whenever we did his podcast. So we're ticking off a lot of first watches for both of us this week, which is really nice. I like that, as a film community, we can come together and kind of do that for each other. Um, but yeah, I had a good time. I hope that people go and check out that episode because it is a good time. Um, and you'll definitely be on again. I don't if you haven't already checked out the Lab on Hero episode that we did together. several months ago. Go check that out because that one's also really good. And we'll talk about a movie here soon within the next couple of weeks about like another foreign film that we end up watching that ends up being like really messed up and weird.
Yeah, they are all foreign films.
So
Outside,
far.
yeah.
Other
What's
than
up with us, man? We like
Talk
fucked up
Cowboys.
foreign
Yeah,
movies.
yeah,
Yeah, Drugstore wasn't, but let's stay with that
yeah. I'm
theme.
down
Let's
for it.
never
I'm down
change.
for it. All right. Well, until next time, I will see y'all later. Goodbye.